No real introduction needed today. The daddy of all cigar brands is here. This is Cohiba Siglo II. Good evening, welcome back to review number 3, which is tonight the Cohiba Siglo II. As some people say, but it's Siglo II, which essentially means 2nd century. It's of a line of, I think, 6, and this is obviously 2. This is a Corona sized cigar, 42 ring gauge by 129 millimeters long, I believe. First of all, the Siglo range, I think they're all supposed to be the same flavour or whatnot. I think they're all different in every single way. This is from a box from 2013. It just smells so nice and sweet. It smells lovely. Cohiba, my personal favourite brand. They're just such a mixture of spice. It's almost like vanilla, caramel and spice mixed together would be the best way I'd personally describe it. And then you pick your ring gauge depending on the strength and how bruteful you want that body of the cigar to be itself. So, for example, for midweek, I like a smaller ring gauge, a smaller cigar, obviously because of time constraint. It's a little bit more delicate, but for a Friday night where the week's over, you're looking forward to the weekend, I'll go for a bigger ring gauge cigar. So yeah, this is perfect for midweek. So let's get it cut. First of all, the wrapper is brilliant. There's a few little veins on it. The foot is a little bit broken at one point, but you're always going to get this with certain cigars every now and again. We can focus on this. Now you notice this is the old brand. It may even be a box older than 2013 actually, but this is the old band. They upgrade the band to a nice big shiny one. I've got the box inside, so I'll have to read it again, but yeah, if you're interested I'll write it in the comments. But as you can see, the wrapper, please focus, yeah, there we go. The wrapper's nice and even. It's all even down the cigar. It's brilliant. It's oily. It's got a shine to it. Fantastic. It's perfect. And you can smell the sweetness, as I say, at the beginning. It's a triple cap. Now, one thing: every single cigar from this box I've had has drawn perfectly. Sometimes with a thinner ring gauge cigar, you get a knot in there or a thick piece of filler or binder, and all of a sudden the whole cigar's ruined. That's lovely. Yeah, so the whole cigar is ruined because obviously it's a thin ring gauge, whereas if you have a bigger ring gauge, if there's a little impurity in there or a little manufacturing issue, it's less noticeable because the burn just burns around it. Whereas if you get a little knot in something like this, or even an Especiales, which I will review in the near future, you really do notice it. Like a plug, if there's a plug in it, you do notice it. Try not to completely char this one like I've done in the first couple of reviews. But it's a cold evening. First of all, the smell is spice. You're not getting that almond nutty smell that you get from the Hoyo de Monterrey in review 2. The spice there. The Siglo II has been described as a lighter cigar, more for a beginner. I don't think it's necessarily lighter than any of the other Siglo ranges. I've had, I think it was the Siglo VI, the big one, and I thought that was lighter than the Siglo III. It was smoother and just less strength, less body than the Siglo III, which I find to be probably the strongest in terms of brute force and brutality of the whole Siglo range. But this is nice. You can retrohale this through your retrohale it through your sinuses. Get that extra flavour. It's just cream, sweetness, and spice. It's lovely. You can never go wrong with a Cohiba. The only time you can go wrong with a Cohiba is if you're handed one that hasn't been looked after. You know, when someone who's never smoked cigars before gets given a poor cigar and they say, "Oh, I don't like cigars," you don't blame them. Sometimes I get a poor cigar and it's enough to make me question if that had been my first, second or third cigar, maybe I'd never smoke them again, you know. But Cohiba just seemed to be the quality. You do pay for the name and you pay for the brand, but you do get quality. It's very rare you get a bad Cohiba. It's just so smooth. The smoothness. It's not creamy. This is not creamy. This is spicy, and it's got some body to it, but it's never overpowering. It's never an overpowering smoke. Really nice. If you were new to cigars, Cohiba would be spoiling you to throw you straight into a Cohiba. You wouldn't benefit from a Cohiba paying the extra. I think this is about £15 maybe, £14. You wouldn't benefit from the Cohiba over the Hoyo for the sake of a fiver. If you were new to cigars, you wouldn't know the difference. And to be honest with you, the Hoyo would be easier to smoke in terms of hassle. When you get a smaller ring gauge, you tend to have to look after it a little bit more, whereas the Hoyo would take a bit more of a beasting. If you left it for a while and then decided to overheat it and toke on it like a madman for a bit, and because of the ring gauge, it would respond a little bit less aggressively. Whereas a smaller ring gauge cigar tends to kick you in the, you know, it'll bite you back if you don't. And I find that more so in an Especiales. If it's something that is, I think that's a 38 ring gauge, it really does demand a bit more attention. So, and it can be less relaxing. It can be less relaxing if you're in the wrong environment. That's why if you go to a party or whatever, where you're socialising and you're going to take a cigar, probably best to not take one with a real thin ring gauge. Don't take a Lancerote, for example, because you're just going to spend most of the time excusing yourself from conversations to relight your cigar. But draw's brilliant, burns nice, ash is nice and white, as you can see. Nice little red glow around the tip there. Can't focus. We don't want to see the window, we want to see the cigar. There we go. Yeah. Lovely, that's perfect. See how nice and chocolatey that wrapper is. So straight off the bat, spice, an abundance of Cohiba flavour. Now, the Cohiba flavour itself, really hard to explain. First of all, a majority of the cigars are all very similar. You've just got to pick out the minute differences between a lot of them, and then manufacture comes into it, and how they can differ the whole smoking experience, because essentially this is an experience. It's not so you don't go to work with a box of 5 in your pocket to, you know, it's not necessarily an addiction like smoking cigarettes is. This is an experience. This is time to chill out and reflect and relax, or a special occasion, and so it's different. But yeah, what I'll do is I'll continue to smoke this. Right, my personal opinion is you can't beat Cohiba. Now, if I'd started these reviews a year or two ago, we would have had a Behike 52 for sure on here. My best or my favourite short smoke has to be the Behike 52. I bought a box of 10 back in 2015, and they are just magnificent. They are unlike anything I've ever smoked before, and it's a shame because I'm not going to spend 60 odd quid on a Behike cigar to do the review again. They were gorgeous, but they're not worth £60. Not to me anyway. I don't have that sort of income to throw at it. But yeah, I'll have a bit of a smoke with this. I've lit the fire outside. It's a very cold evening. I think it's about 3 or 4 degrees right now. But yeah, I'll have a smoke of this and I'll come back to you. But in all honesty, you know what my final thought's going to be already. But I won't ruin it. I will test it. I'll give it a good go. And I'll come back to you. Back now for the final sort of, well, the review showpiece, I suppose. Pretty much at the end of the cigar now, down to the last quarter. It pretty much stayed spicy all the way until about the halfway mark, and then I've got an awful lot of pepper since then. So, I mean, there's still spice in there. It's less sweetness, more pepper, but it's still fantastically smooth. Certainly medium in its strength. Like the rest of the Siglos. It's a great cigar. I've had plenty of Siglo 2s in packs of 5, packs of 3 and tubes, and to be honest with you, the box that I have, I've checked, it's from September 2013, that this one's from. Everyone in the box has been brilliant. Everyone in the box has been the best Siglo 2 that I've ever had. Nothing that I've bought in packs coming from online distributors and things like that, and shops online and shops out and about in town have come close to what I've had in this box. So I could have a really great box here, but they've all been great. I tend to only buy a box once I've tried a few of them, I like them, or I either don't like them, and then I decide to invest in a box to keep in my humidor over time. So this is one of those. The Hoyo de Monterey was one of those. I've got a few others which I'm going to test. So pretty much the first reviews are what I've got in my humidor, and they are all good cigars I enjoy, cigars I think are great cigars. Marks out of 10 for this. It's got to be exactly the same as a Hoyo. 8.5 to 9 out of 10. It burnt brilliantly. It hasn't gone out once. Its combustion is fantastic. The evenness of the burn. I'll show you. The evenness of the burn is great. Maybe I need to manual focus this camera, but you see, it's just as you would expect a Cuban cigar to be, and as you'd expect a Cohiba to be. If you're going to spend the money, it needs to be worth it. It needs to be a good cigar. Again, you can't go wrong with a 14-15 quid Cohiba. It's lasted me about an hour, and there's probably 5-10 minutes to go on this still. So, good cigar. I definitely recommend it. I think the experience of a cigar, like I've said before, comes down to how it's looked after in the humidor. Constant level humidity. if you increase humidity in your humidor and then you lower it and you increase it and you lower it and you check it every 3 or 4 months, they're not being looked after well in that situation, and it will tell when you smoke them. It will tell. So if you look after a cigar well and you stay on top of it, you baby them, they will be great smokes. I have no doubt about it, especially if you buy a top level Cuban cigar. Any of them, not just a Cohiba, any of the top level cigars. So yeah, an 8.5 out of 10. And if you'd like to try one, I would definitely recommend it. As I say, it's not a massive amount. You can spend an awful lot more on Cuban cigars. So it's a good go-to cigar for a great brand. You don't have to spend an awful lot of money for a nice relaxing evening smoke of what I have said, and I'll say again, is the daddy brand in my opinion of cigars. I've got a Trinidad Coloniales to review with you soon, which is right up there in terms of brands in my opinion. And I've also got coming up from a friend of mine a Monte Cristo, not Cuban, but it's a Monte Cristo, and I say not Cuban, Monte Cristo. It's a Monte Cristo White Edition from the USA. So we'll be testing that pretty soon, but that's a much bigger cigar. I need a little bit more time for that rather than a weeknight, but that's what's coming up anyway. But yeah, great cigar. If you get the opportunity, get one. Buy this, buy the Hoyo together. It might save you on packaging and postage. It could be worth it, and you will enjoy them. You will enjoy them. So as you all know, this is a new channel, and if you enjoyed this third review, or you have any recommendations on how to make the channel better or different in any particular way, I'm totally open to whatever you may put forward. Please subscribe. I'll put the subscription stuff up the top here, so you can click on that and stay in touch with what I'm testing. Remember, all cigars are different, so what I experience is my personal opinion, and it's not necessarily gonna reflect across the board on every one of those cigars. For example, the Siglo II may not taste exactly the same as what I've described for you, but go and try it, because it's certainly a fantastic cigar. So I hope you enjoyed the review, and hope to see you in the next one. Thank you.